listening to Daybreak USA.
Lieutenant Randy Sutton, he's a radio host and a spokesperson for Blue Lives Matter and the author of A Cop's Life. And he is at the airport again on his way to honor some hero cops in South Florida. Hello, friend.
Hello, Angie. Good morning. Thanks for having me again.
All right, let's start with this big meeting of police chiefs, the IACP. You said it's not getting much publicity, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, the IACP is the largest police chiefs organization in the country, and they have they literally 16,000 chiefs and administrative staff members were at their convention in San Diego this week. Now, this week we have seen the burial of 4 police officers. We've seen the war on cops heating up. We've seen ambushes literally every single week. And the head of the organization, this is the chief who is the head of all the chiefs, when he delivered his address, do you think he addressed the officers who were killed in the line of duty? Do you think that he spoke about the war on cops? No, of course not, because he made an apology tour for he apologized to the minority population for policing in the 50s and the 60s. Instead of taking the opportunity to talk about the loss of life and to celebrate the hero cops that have been working tirelessly under adverse conditions, he decided to make an apology tour. And it's absolutely astounding to me that the police chiefs, instead of walking out on him, gave him a standing ovation. Pathetic.
They gave him a standing ovation. Well, speaking of some of those heroes, I understand about 10,000 people took part in the memorial service for the 2 murdered California police officers. Palm Springs Mayor Robert Moon told mourners that officers Gil Vega and Leslie Zrebny were the best of the best. Take a listen.
You are our heroes, and we deeply appreciate everything you do for all of us.
He obviously, got very emotional talking about them. Of course, Leslie, a brand new mom. And you said they were targeted. And speaking of being targeted, one more story I want to introduce. We mentioned this yesterday. In Northern California, police believe that 2 officers very lucky to be alive after what's being called an attempted ambush. And Vallejo, the police chief, Andrew Boudreaux, says the officers were on a coffee break when a man just walked right in with an assault weapon, and it jammed, fortunately, and tried to kill them. Here is the police chief.
When they were sitting there at the table, Adam Powell, a 41-year-old Sassoon resident, appeared in the doorway and attempted to assassinate the officers with an assault weapon.
And they end up shooting him because they chased after him. But the only reason they're alive is because the gun jammed, it sounds like to me.
Exactly. It was a ferocious weapon. It was an illegal weapon to begin with. This guy's also an ex-felon. Shouldn't have had the weapon, but of course, criminals couldn't care less about laws, which is why the gun laws that are so restrictive are ridiculous. But this individual also is suspected in shooting a 3-year-old boy. So this guy is a first-class animal. And why he chose those particular police officers, it was outside of a Starbucks. He literally walked in and tried to fire his weapon. And he was also armed with a pistol, which kind of surprised me. He didn't transition to that. Then he fled outside. The officers chased him, got in a gun battle with him, shot him. He's critically injured. Unfortunately, he's only injured. But this has been an ambush or an ambush attempt. Literally, we have had 4 of them in the last 3 weeks, and including 2 Boston police officers who were critically injured last week, just days after the Palm Springs incident, and it was almost identical.
Mm-hmm.
You took them to the house under a false domestic violence complaint, and then waited for them and ambushed them.
Well, Randy, you and I talk about how there are good news stories about police officers every day that we oftentimes don't hear about. We did one yesterday about a cop that responded to a kid that wanted to run away and found out he only had a black trash bag with clothes in it in his room. So he furnished the whole place for the family with help. And then this is a story about 2 police officers in New York, and they see a guy on a 20-story bridge, and they haven't done it before, but they go out and help him. Here we go.
Suffolk County Police released video of 2 officers who scaled up the Robert Moses Bridge superstructure to rescue a suicidal man threatening to jump at 8:30 Sunday morning.
He exited the vehicle, left all the doors open. He had his music really loud.
Emergency Services Officer Billy Judge and his partner Glenn Bergeon trained for such scenarios using harnesses and equipment. But this was the first time they ever put that training to use 286 feet above the waters of the Fire Island Inlet on a thin steel girder.
Very narrow, maybe 10 inches wide. He was on the outside of the railing holding on to the light.
The man, whose name was not released, at first refused to cooperate.
I said, we really care about you. We want to get you out of this. And he said, you don't care about me. And I said, me and my partner are the only two people around here that's up here with you right now. I said, that's got to tell you something.
It took nearly 3 hours, and 20 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts didn't help.
I was trying to put a piece of webbing over the top of him, but it was too windy. The wind was taking the webbing.
Finally, they got a harness on the man, and he agreed to slowly climb back down.
At one point, he looked up to me. He goes, Billy. I go, yeah. He goes, thank you. I said, my friend, I said, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to get you out of here.
What happened on Sunday was an unbelievable act of bravery and skill.
And when they reached the ground, they gave each other a hug, and it was a beautiful ending to what could have been a very horrible story.
No, absolutely. And the emergency service police officers in New York are some of the most highly trained, skilled police officers around. They're a combination of SWAT and critical incident office.
Well, Lieutenant Randy Sutton, Blue Lives Matter. Thank you so much, Randy. Love having you on the show. Thanks, friend. Thank you, Randy.